Hey guys, it's Joe with Modern Survival Sense. You know, there comes a time in a knife enthusiast's life when you have to step back and realize you've moved beyond basic knife enthusiasm. Well, I think I can safely say that I've moved beyond that and I'm actually into collecting. Now, this knife is not actually new to me because I've had it for, I don't know, a year or two now. But I've noticed over the last couple of years my purchasing of knives has kind of moved on from what I would like to do with the knife to the history of the knife or sentimental factors like what I grew up having or knowing about, like the Victorinox Swiss Army knives. I may not have had a Swiss Army knife, but everybody knew about Swiss Army knives, and they've been around for 100 and you know I don't know 115 years or so. And so I had to get a couple of Swiss Army knives, and same with the Moras and the Opinel, and same with this before you. Now, some of you may recognize this. This is a Nepalese-made knife. It is handmade. It is a kukri. What's special about this knife, or knives like these, is the fact that they were designed and made for the Gurkha regiments coming out of Nepal. And it is a military fighting knife. Well, if you're unfamiliar with them, the Gurkha regiments, or there's a couple of Gurkha regiments that actively serve in the British military, and they have for quite some time. And this actually resulted from a fight with Britain or the UK. So, uh, the Gurkhas were known for being ferocious fighters that had a kukri with them at all times. And if they ever ran out of bullets, they were known to charge the enemy with their knife in hand. And this is a very large knife. You see my hand here. I think this one's about 11 or 12 inches in length overall. And let me go ahead and show this to you. Like I said, this is a handmade knife. The sheath itself is wood wrapped in a buffalo hide. And you can see the veins in there. It's actually pretty neat. You kind of have it, you have the little, let's see if you can see that. Yep, the hairs from the hide. It's a neat little sheath. Like I said, it's covering wood on the inside. Now when you pull this out, this is the knife. I'll get to that in just a second. I want to give you a little more detail on the sheath. The sheath is nothing more than a couple of pieces of wood where the hide's been drawn over it. And then you have your belt loops right there. And this is all just hide, as you can hear. And you have a little loop so that you could tie it to your leg if you wanted to. And what comes with it, with the sheath, is a couple of other blades. Now, not both sharp, just one of them is. You have a small blade like this for fine, delicate work, even if you can't see it. There you go. And the other one is kind of a sharpening steel, like you'd have with your kitchen knives. And that stores inside the sheath itself. Now, normally I don't keep them in there. I'll have them off to the side or stored somewhere else so I don't accidentally lose them if I take this out in the field, because it's a traditional styled knife and I don't want to lose these. And this is the kukri itself. It is dirty. I have used it several times, and that is the kukri. Now, there are all kinds of different shapes and lengths, thicknesses, and designs of kukris. This is the one that I personally found attractive to me. It may not be the original kukri that was issued to the Gurkhas out of Nepal, but the overall shape is the same. The manufacturer of the knife is the same. And this thing is actually a beast. This isn't your typical long knife that you'll get out of the US where At max, the thickness is going to be 1/4 of an inch, and 1/4 inch is a beast of a blade. Well, this is not 1/4 of an inch. You see that? See if I can get that to focus for you. That's closer to 3/8 of an inch, and I'll measure that for you just to show you. Look at that, over 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 would be 375, and it's at 381. This is primarily a chopper, and you see the weight forward design allows you to have a lot of downward force on anything you're chopping. And you notice that the blade is pointed forward. Well, when you're holding something, if you've ever held like a military styled fighting knife, it's just basically a straight knife that, you've got the handle and then the blade goes straight. Well, if you go to like a stabbing motion, you notice that your hand is like this. Well, that's not a natural motion. No jokes. All right. In a comfortable position, your hand is, in a standard position. Well, if you notice, the knife is already pointed almost straight. So you could have your hand in a comfortable position and thrust forward, and it's already in the correct position. So this was designed to be a stabber. Not that I'm ever going to use it as such. This is a beast of a knife. And I don't suggest stabbing anything, actually. There's no reason to. Or very little reason to. Now the lines here, they are referred to as fullers or chirras, I believe. Chirra. Normally on your kukris, you'll only have one of those lines. On this one, obviously, you have two. And that was one of the reasons why I got this one, because it had a little bit of a different look to it, and I thought it gave it a little more style. This was purchased from Kukri House, or Ex-Gurkha Kukris. I can't remember which one it was. It's one of those. It wasn't Himalayan imports. I got this off of eBay. I think the knife cost me $60, $65, something like that, but shipping was like $30, so it was under $100. But you're talking about a 3/8 inch blade. It's carbon steel. It's full tang. And it's pinned, from the handle. Now the handles are pinned on. It has that nice detailing. Now I do have a little bit of rust I need to take off. There's just surface rust though. It's not a big deal. Now I grant you, it is not like what you would get from a factory, because this is not a factory produced knife. This knife was hand produced. Now I can't guarantee 100% fact that it was done, without power tools. It very well could have been. But this was made in Nepal by hand. So you're going to have little intricacies and imperfections in the knife. That's to be expected. You see, it's not exactly perfect there, but they're character marks. Everything is, just to give you an example, on the handle, right, you've got these grooves that are grooved into the wood. Well, you can tell for a fact that these were done after the fact. They weren't grooved and then put on. This was hand fit first, and then the grooves were put on. And you know how I can prove that? It's because when you follow the line, you get to the tang, and look at that. You have a mark where he stopped his cut. And it goes all the way down. You can see there's little nicks right there at the very edge of the metal. It's nothing significant. I'm not worried about it. And it's the same on the other side. So basically what happened is he probably started on this side and worked his way to the end, and did the same thing on the other side, because you have the exact same marks. So what was the purpose of me purchasing this? Yes, it's a good chopper. I have used it. It is a beast. It weighs a ton. while I'm thinking about that, the knife alone is 27 ounces, or 1 pound and 11 ounces. That comes to 772 grams. That's just the knife itself. Now with the sheath, that's 921 grams. That's without the extra blades that come with it. Or just over 2 pounds. 2 pounds and a half ounce. So this is a beast. And as I was saying, yes, this is a very good chopper. I have used it for chopping. I had some bamboo that I cut down in a field I was clearing, or a lot I was clearing. It works very well. It is a softer steel. If you hit rocks with it, you are going to ding it up. I do have a couple of small dings in there that I'm working out. I'm not going to grind it down to get rid of them. There's no reason to. This is a working knife, and it still works that way. It came very sharp from them. It does very well. I said I bought it to be a chopper, sort of. That was the use. That was my excuse for buying it. But in reality, I bought this because of the history. The Gurkhas are known to be, very brave warriors, and they would always go into battle with this style of handmade knife, and I wanted to have something to add to my collection that was like that. I can say this is a handmade knife out of Nepal by the same people who make the kukris for the Nepalese armies. And when you feel it in hand, this is definitely substantial. If you use it for any length of time, you'll build up some pretty good forearm muscles, that's for sure. Alright, if you want to know, I'm going to give you the overall length with my manly tape measure that I stole from my wife. Shh, don't tell her. One of these days I may show you some of the stuff she makes. She does some glass pearl jewelry. Rambling on. But overall, no, I said it was about 12 inches. I was wrong. Overall length is right at 16 inches. The blade itself, let's see, the cutting edge, just obviously I'm not taking the full curvature into account, but from the choil, or the I can't remember what that's called. It's a 10-inch cutting blade, and puts the handle at, let's see, the handle itself's right at 4 inches. With the sheath, it's 2 pounds. It is an 1/8 inch thick stock. It actually, let's see, it tapers down at the handle. As you see, it starts to increase and gets to its thickest point right here. And then as the blade starts turning, it starts tapering down again. It is a very stylish knife, and it has a lot of history behind the design. Alright guys, well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If there are any knives you'd like to see me review, leave them in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Joe. See ya.